She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstine.
Well, hey, hi, hello. It's great to be visiting with you again. Today, I have a guest on the show that I really wanted to share with you because oftentimes I am wearing shirts like this one I have on today. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can see this or on the other video outlets. But I wear these shirts a lot, and I even wear them to conventions and conferences and all over the place. And we will talk about why during this episode. But I also wanted to kind of give you guys a little preview about why gear is important for your outdoor adventures and some things that I look for in great gear. And part of that is technical designs so that I have mobility and flexibility. And that's because something that's designed, it allows me for the freedom of movement. If I'm out elk hunting, I'm able to climb up steep terrains. You find yourself sometimes in some tough situations. And when you're climbing or hiking or doing these things, you want to be able to have gear that fits, which is why women's clothing was created. And also, way back when, I'm thinking Adam and Eve time, women were created. Anyways, I want to talk about the technology in gear. And this company, Voormi, they have what I call high-tech gear. And they also have high-quality gear. And high-quality gear for me, when I'm outdoors, this gear is going to help shield me from the sun. It's going to help protect me from extreme weather conditions like rain, snow, wind, and so forth. And it keeps me safe and comfortable. And in comfort, we look at performance and also technology, the way stuff is designed. But when we have design, sometimes we just think of the cut. We think of appearance, what we visually see. But when I'm thinking of outdoor gear, I want something that has moisture wicking. I want it to be breathable. I want it to maybe help my sweaty body, help me in the morning when it's 20 degrees or maybe below zero. And then maybe you're hiking to a stand for my tree stand hunters. Maybe you're hiking into a water hole and trying to get to the perfect pond before daylight so that you can beat the other hunters there for waterfowl hunting. You get sweaty during that adventure, and you want something that's going to prevent hyperthermia, but also something that isn't going to cause chafing while you're hiking, because that's something else. And so there's a lot of details and stuff that go into outdoor gear, and they're essential to have us happy and enjoying our adventures. So something else that I'm going to share about great gear is that it has to be durable, because I can go buy cheap gear that might be not even lasting a season, which I think in a past episode I talked about some women's gear that didn't even last a season. I bought some women's rain gear and went to New Zealand, and the pockets ripped out before I even had my hunt. So that was a real bummer. And that's your cost per wear. That kind of sucks. Like, yeah, it was inexpensive, but per wear, I had one wear and it was done. So cost per wear was pretty high. If you want to know more about cost per wear, let me know. But durable is important. And so all of that leads me to today's guest, because I want something that's sturdy, that will keep me warm, that also will keep me cool, that will be weather resistant, that won't make me stink. Like, there's a lot to this. Holy moly. Anyways, today's guest is going to answer a lot of questions. If you have more questions or if you have other ideas for topics, please reach out. You can email me. The email address is contact@miaanstine.com, or you can find us on most social media outlets and just direct message us there, or tag us in your pictures, because I'm talking about some places where I want you to scavenger hunt and send me pictures today. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you will like and share and comment. And if you do enjoy it, share it with your friends. We can all learn something today. Hey friends, if you're looking for premium performance gear for your next adventure, look no further than Voormi. Their innovative wool technology is perfect for any outdoor activity. And the best part, you can also support the show by shopping through my affiliate link at voormi.com/Mia Anstine. We earn a little commission on your online purchases, excluding sale items, and it's no extra cost to you. Gear up for your next adventure with Voormi today. That's VOORMI.com/MIAANSTINE. Voormi.com/Mia Anstine. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Mac Outdoors podcast. Today, I'm kind of excited to have a friend, Cory, who is with Voormi on the show. And I'm excited to learn some more about you, but also a little more about Voormi, which is some gear that I wear all the time. And a lot of people have asked me about it and such. So hopefully we can learn a lot more about that today. But Cory, would you please introduce yourself and let my listeners know who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Cory Craven. I'm the wholesale and outdoor field rep for Voormi, based here in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. We are a hometown clothing company. I also come from a deep background of guiding. I have guided hunters and fishermen everywhere from South America down in Patagonia and Chile to the Brooks Range in Alaska. And so I know how important it is to have good gear. And I've been friends with the family that has started this since the very beginning. And I've been a fan way before I was a employee. So, yeah, we make really good gear. We base a lot of our gear in merino wool. All of it has got some kind of merino wool in it. And we kind of take wool and put it on steroids and do some great stuff to it.
Cool. And so that's something that I'm curious about is you've known about the gear for years. How long have you been with the company?
This is my second year with them. Like I said, I've known Megan and the family forever. I was a ski patroller also up at Wolf Creek here outside of Pagosa, which really lets you understand the value of good warm gear.
Good warm gear, yeah.
But yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. It's a, great family operation, and yeah.
Cool. And I've known about the gear since way back when I used to sell building materials in Pagosa and when Butch was building his house. But if we're looking at Voormi, at the brand, how did it come to be? Like, where did Voormi come from?
So it came from a collaboration of Dustin and Butch English both, and Megan, and all these minds got together, and we've tried to, Dustin and all of us here at Voormi have some kind of a mountain background. And Dustin was a guide on Denali, and one of the original thoughts was, we're tired of hauling all these bags of gear with us everywhere we go. There needs to be something that can fill the void, that you don't have to pack as much gear with you when you travel. Stuff that you can wear again and again, things that will take the place of 4 layers. Now you only have 1 or 2 layers to accomplish what we were doing before with 5 or 6 layers with bags full of gear. And I mean, how it is getting on an airplane, in a brush plane, and you don't have a whole lot of room. So I think that is where the idea has really started from, was let's make a good piece of gear that is very versatile, that you can also wear into town, that and that's what I really liked about it, coming from the ski background too. You could go up there skiing it all day long, come into town, still look very presentable. It's comfortable. It's temperature regulating. You don't overheat. You don't feel like you constantly got to put layers on and take layers off. It's so it's a very, very versatile gear.
Versatile gear. And so something for me is I've always liked wool because I look at it as survival gear. I mean, I grew up in Southwest Colorado and got cold a few times. I don't know if I had hypothermia or not, but had some challenges out there when I was a kid.
Right.
And like you said, back then it was kind of like what's the Christmas Story movie where the little kid is bundled up like a little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man or something. But not having the appropriate layers. And like I said, I teach survival as well. And I know cotton is like what we don't want.
Right.
But also, as a kid, when I would wear wool, it was like so itchy, so scratchy, and you'd put a cotton shirt under it. And so, how has this technology, because when I say Voormi, I think technology, how is the technology different now than it was? And with that technology, is it still scratchy?
No. So, and that is probably one of our big key things is we have dual surface garments that are we put a high performance synthetic in with the merino wool, which merino wool is not your grandma's wool. It's not the wool pants that were scratchier, the blankets. It is a softer, but on its own, merino wool is not a very tough fiber. So what we do is we infuse it with a strategically placed synthetics that actually help draw the moisture away from your body. You still get all the benefits of the wool, with the thermal regulating and the antimicrobial, where it doesn't hold the odors, which is one of the biggest things for me that you can wear our garments 5-6 days in a row out in the brush and you can still get into a sleeping bag and live with yourself. It doesn't hold that odor. And so wool is in my opinion, I'm like you, it is a survival deal. It still keeps you warm when it's wet. Yeah, it's one of the pieces that you'll grab every time you leave the house.
Yeah, and what is it that's making it not itchy like the old wool that we think of traditional? What's the difference?
The way that we process the wool, number one, it is debarbed and the lanolins are taken out of it. So I haven't had very many, maybe nobody that has had an allergic reaction to the wool where they've said that they've had allergic reactions to wool in the past. What it is the synthetic is against your skin. We have a dual surface technology. That is our technologies like you were talking about. We have numerous different layers. I wear these garments all the way from spring all the way through the summer. You're wearing one of our river runs right now. I see, they keep you cool. They're super fast drying. Everybody thinks, oh, wool in the summertime? What are you crazy? Like, no, it helps keep you cool. They dry super fast. I've heard many stories of people, in the Grand Canyon that, they'll flip a boat, but they were wearing that river run, and it does add that little bit of warmth, in the mornings and the evenings, but yet keeps you cool during the middle part of the day. And then, in the fall, you have to step up your layers a little bit, and we have layers for that too.
It's funny that you say that because I've told you before, and my listeners know that I wear wool pretty much year round. And the wool, when I talk about that, is the Voormi.
Yep.
And they also look at me and they're like, aren't you hot when they see me out, throwing hay or working out in the sun or something like that? And of course, if the temperature's hot, you're going to be hot. I mean, yeah, I might be sweating, but I look at stuff for the UV protection. And then they look at me and they're like, but you're dark skinned. And it's like, well, I can still get sunburned. I can still get skin cancer, all that kind of stuff. And it seems like not having the sun like beating on my skin, it feels so much better. And you talked about this hoodie and it's so soft and it's, as soft as a cotton shirt to me. And it's funny that you say that because I didn't really plan to wear a Voormi for today. But if the listeners go back and if you watch the YouTube replays and a lot of the videos, I'm wearing a Voormi shirt. But do you guys look at that as part of your technology? Is the UV protection?
Yes, wool is just actually has a natural UV protection built into it. We do not add any chemicals or any aftermarket stuff to our wool. Wool is naturally, UV protecting. And it does, it works. It works great. I wear one as a base layer in the middle of the winter too, because it keeps the moisture away from your skin, keeps you dry. If you're dry, you're warm. That shirt you're wearing right there is one that I keep on pretty much year round.
Year round. Okay, and so I have a question because me being a girl, do you have a lot of women customers? I mean, you guys have a women's section, obviously, but do you have a lot of women customers, or what's the target audience? Is it men and women?
It is men and women. Yes, that we have a very big. A lot of the CrossFit people here in town, they love to wear our stuff because it is that antimicrobial. You can wear it. It doesn't hold the odors. You can do your things again and again, and you hang it out to dry and let it air out for a bit, and it's ready to go the next day. And again, like we do certain things. We have garments that have an extra layer in them too, our core fabrics, which, we'll talk about, like going into the fall, you'll have to we go another layer deep. So our core fabric is, again, like I was talking about, our technologies with the wool on the outside, synthetic on the inside, strategically placed that draws the moisture out. The core fabric actually has a third membrane in there that is, if you look at it like an Oreo cookie, it will have the synthetic against your skin. There will be a membrane woven through the wool. And so you still get the benefit of the wool, but it'll also, it is allowing us to do all kinds of new, crazy, great things with this layer that is in the core fabric. It's windproof. It adds another layer of water repellency. So it just, like I said in the beginning, we've taken wool and put it on steroids and done some great things to it. And it lasts forever too. Some of the garments I've had since 2014, 15, I have base layer bottoms. I used to go through base layer bottoms when I was guiding elk hunters. Every year you'd go through a set of base layers, and I still have some. It lasts for a long time. That's one of the big draws also to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with you on that one because I have some other gear. I don't have it anymore. I shouldn't say I have it, but you would get sent as a rider stuff to review. And there's this other wool type gear that it didn't even make it through a season before it looked like Swiss cheese. And it was like, wow, how is this supposed to keep me warm? And you can't even get your legs into the legs because there's too many holes in there. So this is something that, as for the listeners, as Cory's saying, I have shirts too that I've had for, I would say, almost 10 years. It's been a long time. And this is why I always share it, is because I try to share things that I can testimony and agree with without saying, well, yeah, and, being forced to give my opinion or something. Like, if I like it, I will tell you about it. So that's my little soapbox about it.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
For the hunters in the group too, I have our concealment colors, and what we can do with that. We don't print. We're able to weave it from the base up, right? So it's not a printed on different kind of patterns that you get from other companies, that it'll fade over time or reflect the sun, to where if you're walking through the woods, it looks like a mirror shining back toward you. Wool absorbs that light, just like the UV protectant in the sun shirts. So I've had numerous stories of many guides or hunters around that they say that this is the most amazing piece of hunting gear that I own, because the animal, they can't smell you, and they're looking through me. It doesn't reflect that light. You become part of the woods that you were hunting. It feels right. It looks right. It blends in very, very well.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to ask you about, is the colors. And you talked about kind of hunting gear for guides and stuff like that. What other options do you have in the lineup of products?
So, we start, I was going to explain through the spring. So the way that I'll dress with our garments in the spring is wear one of these river runs that you're wearing. I always have one next to skin. The itchiness is not there. So you always you defeat the purpose of having the wool if you have a cotton underneath it. So if you, from the base layer up, you'll wear, one of our ultralights, and then, you can wear that through the summer. It keeps you cool. And then when we were talking about the stepping up to the core, in the fall, where you need a little bit more layering, we have concealment, which is our sportsman line. that is kind of preparatory for us, which is our blowdown and our harvest colors, which blend into numerous different environments. And then we go on into the wintertime where, we operate in very cold weathers at the ski areas and stuff like that. And that the wool just works really well, like I said, year round. In the women, it's fashionable. Like I was saying, you can wear it on the ski area. You can go to dinner in it. You can, it's just something that you can wear. Very versatile.
Definitely very versatile. With the blowdown and the harvest, are they geared toward one or the other, or just any type of field or hunting? What's the idea behind those?
So in our blowdown changes here and there, but our blowdown is meant for like the pines, the hard timbers of the east, any mountain environment. It's got the greens and browns in it, where our harvest is more into like the waterfowl. It named after a harvested field. It looks very good in a cut cornfield or barley stubble or something like that, to where you're sitting in a layout blind, blends in very well. And again, the sun doesn't reflect off of it. It doesn't fade. And it's just something that you can wear day after day.
Absolutely. And so I was asking about target audiences. Are hunters your target audience, or do you have other?
We do have others. It's a lifestyle fashion too. It's some of the garments that we make for the women, the chalet pullover, some new stuff that is coming out in the next couple months. The chalets, and they're beautiful to wear. Women come in, they love it. The colors are great. For the men, we got some new stuff coming here in the next month or two that you got to keep your eye on. It'll be good. Dress jackets, everything, that you would wear into town and stuff like that.
So the dress jackets are coming, or that's something you have already?
Yes, maybe.
Maybe. Is this for men only, or?
No, the women love them too. And that's our Burrow Creek jacket. And that, I don't know when they're going to be here, but they're going to be here soon.
Okay. And I have a Burrow Creek. And one thing that I'm curious about, and we talked about colors for hunting, like what shades you have and stuff. How do you guys choose what color palettes are going to be made with each gear?
It's funny here. We all wear different hats at this place. We'll sit down, we'll see what fabric that we have got in, what would be best suited for that fabric. Is it going to be the 2-pocket Sportsman, which is one of my favorite? Right now, we just came out with the Mountain 2-pocket, which is a little bit lighter core fabric. And the 2-pocket is probably one of our most popular garments. It's designed it's obviously a pullover that has a high pocket that you can still access with waders or layout bibs on. It's just a very comfortable, everyday piece of gear that is, it's a great piece. The Mountain 2-pocket right now is out, and it's for men and women. We actually sewed some in the extra small size just for the gals. And we had these 2 colors, and it wasn't going to be colors per se that it was going to be directly for the sportsman. It's a blue and a black, and it's not going to something that you're going to go out there and hide from elk with during archery season. It's just a good everyday all around pullover. Great for fishing. The fishing world loves them. The other thing that I found over the years too is that, especially with the river runs, like you're wearing the ultralights, being a fishing guide, you get grease on your hands, you get fly floating, and you put them on those sun shirts that are the synthetics. They stain so easy. And there's a point to, looking like a fishing guide, to a point where you kind of look like a homeless bum too. So you want to look good, and our stuff does not stain. It doesn't, they last, and they outlast the synthetics for sure.
Yeah. And so with the fishing, you talked about that high pocket. Can you tell us, for listeners who aren't used to wearing waders, can you tell us a little about the purpose of that high pocket?
High pocket is just so when you have waders that come up past your waist or anything, I wear it as every day. You don't have to have waders on to wear this pullover by any stretch. It's just another full kangaroo pocket that is on a hoodie. You take a normal hoodie that you get anywhere, that's got the kangaroo pocket at the bottom, and if you put waders on, you have no more access to that bottom pocket. So what we've done is taken a pocket and put it up higher that you can still access your calls, just another layer up high that you can put your everyday items in.
Yeah, and I think of that because, of course, when we're fly fishing, we wear waders sometimes, and as you're saying, like there's nowhere to put anything because you don't want pockets down below in a wader. But
Right.
also, I mean, next week, 2 weeks from now is waterfowl season here. I guess it is duck season, but the geese are what's around for me right now.
Right.
And so I'm going to be putting my waterfowl waders on. And of course, pockets are always something that I'm looking for. But then also, I mean, I have a lot of friends that snowmobile and I snowmobile. And so that it's pretty cool to be able to have another layer. And I feel like when we're skiing or snowmobiling, we have, layers upon layers. But if we have a good base layer, like you mentioned, that pocket's going to be great without having to be another Oompa Loompa.
It is. Like I said, it's one of my, and it's made out of our core fabric, which does have that windproof, very, very water resistant membrane in it. I mean, I've had it out on the lake, you're in a boat, open wind, you're, doing 30, 35 miles an hour down the lake and you feel no wind. To make a soft shell garment that you want to wear, everybody loves their hard shell, and they have that purpose to where, when it's raining like crazy, which we do make an amazing 3-layer laminate rain jacket and a pair of bibs that are maybe some of the best waterfowl bibs on the market right now. And they are a laminate, but you don't want to wear them. I don't want to go in and have dinner and sit down with my V1 rain jacket on. It is, it has its purpose. But with that 2 pocket and our core fabric, it adds that windproof, water resistant membrane that you don't feel like you're wearing a rain jacket.
Yeah. And so the bibs, are there men and women bibs, or do we have extra small bibs for women?
We do not have extra small bibs for women. We have small through double X in the bibs, and they are full length zips on the side, built in gaiters on the bottom. Our wool batting is part of it too, and it is a really good insulator. We make a vest also, which is called our variant vest. It's reversible, and that one is a men's and women's. It's a reversible vest with our core fabric, and it has our wool batting in there. And a lot of people compare it to like a really good Carhartt vest or jacket, to where it takes a little bit of time to break in, but once it does, it's a piece of your body. It breaks in well.
Cool. And so right now the trend, I'm thinking, I'm not a marketing person, which obviously you are the marketing person, but right now the farm look or the farmer jacket is the look. Is that something that we could think of out of the variant?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And that is our variant vests are great for that. It is that like farmer rancher, but yet you can turn around and wear it into town. It's not like wearing a piece of work gear for any stretch, but it'll hold up to any kind of work you want to throw at it for sure.
Yeah, and I love on the website you've got the guys carrying wood and doing work in it, which
Yeah.
I know from the crew that I've met at Voormi, everybody's actually out there doing it, like either hiking or camping or mountaineering or doing different things. So is that kind of, you guys base your evolution on experiences?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what is probably the founding focus of this company is we've all, like a lot of us all have some kind of little input toward like, hey, I think this pocket should be moved over here, or hey, I think the sleeve should be a little bit longer. We do. I mean, like I said, Dustin, and from everybody that works here, have either been guides on Denali to running hunts down in the South to hunting geese up in Canada to hunting and fishing and climbing all over the place. And which kind of leads us into our next little bit, which 2025 is going to be really exciting for us. We're doing some things with our core fabrics that are going to be pretty exciting. You're just going to have to watch, and it's going to, it's a, clothing hasn't changed in so long. That's one of our founding focuses, is like, everything in the world has changed, everything from your cars to your cell phones to your, everything. But clothing has stayed the same. It's been stagnant. And we're looking at like innovations toward making clothing do something for you. Like it has to help you. It's been stagnant for so long. We want to change the game. And that's what we're kind of, our focus is changing the game and the way people look at clothing anymore.
Can you give us any sneak peeks or previews to kind of what you're looking at?
No, you'll just have to keep, you will have to keep in touch. We will have to keep in touch.
And we'll keep in touch. For the listeners, I subscribe to Voormi's email newsletter, and so I was able to pre-order my Burro Creek jacket. I didn't get my Wolf Creek jacket ordered soon enough, and so I missed it. But if you subscribe to their newsletter, you kind of get the heads up on some of these things. So we'll put links in the show notes to all of that for you, so you can kind of keep up on it as well. But Cory, you keep mentioning like Denali and Alaska and some of this stuff. Can you tell us a little about some of your adventures, either your personal adventures or guiding adventures, or like, I'm wanting to know more about this.
Well, I mean, yes. Been a fishing guide. I started when I was 17 years old. Went into the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness in Idaho and learned how to pack horses and do all that stuff. I, kind of went around the college thing and started doing things I loved right off the bat, which that's what I loved about the hunting and fishing part of what we do, is it is taken me and all of us to so many beautiful places. I mean, our hobby is our hobby, and we love to hunt, we love to fish, but it has taken me to South America, where, I was a Chilean resident for years down there, and I would spend the winter down there, which is their summer, guiding fishermen and being part of a culture down there that their main export is wool. I mean, those gauchos and those wasos down there, they live in wool ponchos, and to watch how they dressed and everything in that culture was amazing to me. Like everything from the asados to, the Don Mario Toro, the gentleman that owned the ranch that we guided on down there, never drove a truck. His wife had a truck. They just got electricity in 1984. It was like stepping way back in time. They cut their fields with a hand scythe, their hay fields, and they still used ox and cart. And it was, but they relied on that wool. That wool was made, with their poncho, and they would wear it in the rain. And, but that was, I think, my main drive was, seeing all these beautiful places that these hobbies or, activities have led me to. The Brooks Range in Alaska, another absolutely beautiful place. It's been I would not have traded anything that I've done so far. That's for dang sure.
Yeah. And so were you guiding fishing or hunting or both?
In South America and Chile, I was guiding fishermen, which was a lot of fun. Big rivers, beautiful rivers, mainly trout. They have rainbow trout, brown trout down there. Tend to be really, really big brown trout in places. And then in Alaska, I was guiding for Dall sheep hunters up in the Brooks Range, which was a lot of fun. I don't know if that is something that I'd want to do for months on end anymore, for sure. I mean, it is, sheep hunting is a lot of hard work. And again, there's another, you come to expect a lot out of your gear when you're pushing yourself this hard in these environments. The stuff that you're using better hold up, which is why I ended up here with this company, because it does. You can rely on it. So,
Right.
yeah.
And you're talking about going up to Alaska, guiding Doll sheep. And earlier you mentioned not having to have as many layers. And for the listeners, can you explain why that's important on some of those trips? What that having
Absolutely.
less gear?
So, number one, plane rides sometimes, I mean, it's, $1,500 for a plane ride. And there's, it doesn't matter. You only got a set amount of room. So you can't be packing everything, but, in the kitchen sink. Same way with horse packing, you can't bring everything with you. So if you have those garments that you can rely on time and time again, and you start to learn how to dress with wool and learn that it doesn't take as many layers to do what we used to have to do, you can shrink the size of your bags or your luggage or whatever. Again, our stuff is amazing travel gear. Just to get down to South America, to get down to southern Chile would take us, well over 2 days of travel. Everything from international flights to in-country flights to being on a bus to being and so you're wearing the same thing for 3-4 days in a row, and being able to do that in our garments it makes it a little bit easier. I'll tell you that. It's still an adventure to get there, but it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because also I'm sure everybody's lost a bag. And I don't know, my listeners, you guys can comment on social media or somewhere. Let me know if you've ever lost your bag because I know I've had that happen. And I always have extras in my backpack. Or I think a lot of people are learning like they only travel with carry on now. And so if you have something like this, you can pack more efficiently and still look sharp when you get there. Because I know one time our bags got lost and we were headed to a women's banquet, and this is like an executive leadership banquet, and here we had like wrinkled t-shirts and stuff because we had to rewear what we had the night before, where if I did have my Voormi it wouldn't have looked quite as bad. And
Right.
so this is travel tip 101, like stuff that in there, you pull it out and you can turn on the steam in the shower, the stuff falls out in a second, like you don't even have to wet it and you look great.
Right. No, and it takes one less thing off your mind. I'll tell you that, because when you are traveling to some of these places, if you lose a bag and your trip is ruined.
Yeah, especially on hunting and fishing. I mean, it's one thing to be going in, domestic trip where you can go to the mall and go shopping.
Right.
But on a hunting or fishing trip, you've already spent a lot of money and also, backpacking and stuff. A lot of people spend a lot of money on trips to go backpacking. And the gear is so important. But something that I wanted to ask you is through your adventures, what would you say are some of your must-have pieces of gear? Like do you have a checklist and that you have to have with you?
Yeah. And honestly, I believe our high E hoodie was one of our original garments that the company designed back years and years ago. That high E hoodie is our dual surface hardened wool technology. It doesn't have the cord in it. It's just a beautiful piece that I do not leave home without. I've slept in it. I've talked to numerous people that it has saved their life. I have been told numerous times, like I flipped the boat. This thing kept me from freezing. The high E hoodie is something that I do not leave home without. One of the river runs, like you're wearing, a base layer of some kind, is something that I do not leave home without. Again, just because it is versatile, you can use it again and again and again. So those are two of the pieces that I really do not leave home without. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there any other gear that you take? I mean, besides the Wormy stuff?
Yeah, it depends. Like going down there to South America, going down there fishing, we would have to travel with, everything under the sun, which you got to bring your fly tie and stuff. You got to bring this, but because there's no place down there to go, there's no local fly shop in, Chaiten, Chile. you have to go prepared. You better, it can't be getting on your clients too hard about losing a fly. So you have to have stuff to go back and tie with. Let's see, some of the things that I don't leave home without. Honestly, A Leatherman. I cannot live without my Leatherman.
You and Hank. He always has his Leatherman. What kind of Leatherman do you take?
I actually the one that I have right now is like the Leatherman Super Tool. It's I don't need a million gizmos. I just need I get used to having it there. When it's not there, I'll reach around and it'll be gone. Sure.
So that those are secret gear tips that people have is, different tools, stuff like that. And with your personal adventures that you've been taking, you're still guiding and can people book trips with you or are you just doing Voormi or how's that working?
I am just doing Voormi. I do a limited run. I call it my celebrity guest appearance over on the Rio Grande over in the on the other side, and I'll go take part in that for a little bit. But no, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing right now. Like I said, I would have not changed what I've done in the past for anything. Everything from ski patrolling to ski patrolling was a life changing adventure as well, and that's something that would teach you how to pack accordingly. And I was in charge of the avalanche dog rescue program for a long time. I raised one of the avalanche dogs that worked up there, and we were always thinking ahead of time, like, okay, here's a 24-hour pack. What happens if a helicopter does drop you off and you can't get out and you're going to spend the night? What do you want? And I think that's what you were kind of getting at. Like, what do you want to have? And that's why I said I've slept in my high-E hoodie. That is something that, I don't leave home without. It's like my safety blanket. A stove, anymore with today's technology, the Garmin inReaches and the satellite communicators, they're affordable. That's another thing I probably would not leave home without these days. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's more and more technology that's evolving, and it's kind of cool to follow. And I'm so excited to see what technology Vormi is going to have evolving. But you
It'll be
mentioned you mentioned
good.
the Rio Grande, and so for the listeners, if you don't know about the Rio Grande River, maybe you should research it. And Cory said over the hill. So Cory, do you want to tell us where you are and where is Vormi? Where can we find Vormi?
In Pagosa Springs, Colorado. This is our home base. This is where we started. We also have another retail store up in Bozeman, Montana. Beautiful downtown store location. It's kind of our flagship store, but our roots are here. We have a beautiful retail store in downtown Pagosa as well. So anytime you can stop in and say hi to the gals downtown and go check out the inside of that shop. It's a beautiful place. But yeah, Pagosa Springs, Colorado is what I've called home for most of my life. Obviously, I've traveled extensively, but this was always my base camp and always came back to here. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for the listeners, Pagosa Springs, Colorado is also where I grew up, and then of course have traveled around and lived in a few other places. But back in the day, he's talking about going to see this building in Pagosa. They've kind of remodeled it, but if you go in there and you check it out, it was the original trading post in Pagosa Springs. So it's a historic building. It's got the old creaky wood floors, and to me, I love going in there because it's like nostalgic. And I like lever actions. I like revolvers. I like the Wild West. And when I go in there, I just have that reminiscence of the old days.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, in the back in our dressing room area, we have it was an old gun safe, and there's shelves in there, and you can see where they had kept the different calibers of cartridges on the shelves. So you can ask the gals, like, show me where they kept the shells at. But yeah, no, it is a really cool building for sure.
Yeah, so I challenge you if you're listening, go in there and I'd love to see a picture of you in the building if you want to take a picture and send it and we'll share it on social media. And then I went to the National Assembly of Sportsmen's Caucuses up in Bozeman and my son-in-law is from Bozeman, so we've been up there and toured around some of their historic locations. But when I got up there for this conference, I was like, I got to see the Wormy shop. So I messaged Megan and I was like, are you there? Can I come see you? And got to go stop in and get a tour of that shop and check it out. And that's a really cool shop too. I love the way the marketing of it, how you guys have it all laid out.
Yeah.
What's the idea behind the layout of the stores?
I don't know a ton. Like, I know that the Canyon Wren, which is back in the day, they used to name the drift boats that would go down the Grand Canyon, the original wooden dories. And one of them was the Canyon Wren. And that boat, the front end of that boat is sitting in that shop, which is a really cool feature of that shop. Megan has done an amazing job kind of moving stuff around up there. And it's a great location downtown, and yeah, it's really well done for sure.
Yeah, it's super cool. So it's something that, if you're going to go to Schnee's, check that out. Check out Voormi. Like, there's stuff that are must-sees there.
Yep.
That's one of
Yep.
them.
Yep.
There's also, if you go around the corner from Voormi, there's a chairlift in Bozeman, and it has like red bars, and it says it's a good day for a good day. And that's a memorial. So if you go there, get a picture of yourself on that lift, and then let me know about who that is in memory of, because that's a really sentimental memory for our family.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
So next time you're up there, Cory, go check it out, and then I'll tell
I
you the
will have
story
to
about
check
it.
that one out for sure.
Megan and them hadn't. I think Dylan was working at the shop at the time, and I don't know if he's still there because it's been a while since I've been up there. But they didn't know about it, so I had to tell them. And being from skiing families and stuff, they were like, "What?" So they finally went and checked it out too.
Ask Megan about that one. Yeah, I did not get to see that the last time I was up there. So
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's a chairlift that was put up in memory of our son-in-law's sister. Her name was Sage Lindsay, and she died of cancer when she was 19, and the town put that up, and it's tucked back, hidden in the side street, but it's kind of cool.
that is cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I also wanted to ask you, I asked about the location of the stores, and we've talked a little bit about the shops. Materials might come from out of the country, but where is the product made?
So we still have what we have called Elevation Works, which is here in Pagosa Springs. We do small specialty batches. We'll get our fabric in. We're cutting right now. We're cutting layers right now. One of the great things about being able to do that is we're able to bring our fabric in, do our cuts here, and there's a lot of stuff that is still sewn here in Pagosa. We're able to take some of those pieces and turn them into our accessories, our beanies, our neck gaiters. So there's very little waste. So all of our accessories, all of our neck gaiters, beanies, mittens, woolly buggers, that kind of over hat stuff is all sewn here in Pagosa. We do some work overseas in Vietnam for our ultralights, just because we couldn't keep up on it. And Vietnam is a great place to get garments from these days. It's not China, it's not anything like that. It's very well made. Like, it is very well made stuff for sure. And we do a lot of our designing, all of our testing is done here. A lot of our first runs are sewn here. We still do. Melinda is she's our head seamstress. Been with us from the very beginning. She is amazing gal. She does a lot of cool prototypes here in Pagosa, and yeah.
Yeah. And so, speaking of Melinda, I teach Hunter Ed with her husband. But would you tell us a little about the history of the Burro Creek?
So yes, and the Burro Creek jacket was designed by Melinda Vogel, and it is named after a creek off of her grandfather's homestead up the West Fork of the San Juan, which is pretty impressive listening to some of the stories that she's had to tell about. It was designed after an old lineman's work jacket when they were building Wolf Creek Pass. And listening to tales of Melinda with her grandfather, of him trekking over the pass before Wolf Creek was even there, going up and over to Creed to go mine and all these things. And that is kind of where the Burro Creek came from. And that's how a lot of our stuff comes to fruition, is by, hey, let's try this. And Melinda will draw something up and we'll tweak a little bit of something. And yeah, that's how a lot of our stuff is getting developed.
Yeah, and I'm mentioning the Burro Creek, but as I'm thinking about it, it's probably not available anymore. It was a limited edition, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Are you going to come out in other colors?
Yes, maybe.
So you said that you, as employees, have input. Do customers have input too? Because something
Oh
I would
yes,
like, because I'm going to tell you what I would like,
yes.
is like when I went to Bozeman for that conference, I wore my crew necks underneath my sport coats, underneath my jackets. And so, what would be really cool is to be able to have something kind of dressy from Voormi that I could wear. Because the Brewer Creek, while I would say I probably could, even though it's a men's extra small, so it's not really cut and tapered. I mean, it's great for me to wear out and about, but something that I could wear to these more high-end events
Oh
is
yes.
what for in a women's size. And I'm a small woman, so
We are always trying to come up with some new women's garments for sure. There will be an equal release coming out in the next little bit. Just keep your eyes on Voormi, sign up for the newsletter, go to Voormi.com. But there's going to be some releases coming out, especially like I said, in 2025 is going to be a big year for us. And like some of the technologies that we plan on doing and what we're going to be making these garments be able to do for us to help us in the, like I said, clothing has been stuck in the same spot for years. I mean, they developed the 3-layer laminate long time ago and it just hasn't changed. So we're looking to change some stuff around for sure.
changes are coming. Scary. No, change is good.
Good.
Some people are so resistant to change, but some change is super good. Something that I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, and I'm thinking of it when you were just talking, is what is the significance of the name for me? Because I think that's kind of a cool story too.
So I've got a couple different ones. I've been told that it is, and I've researched this. It is a nomadic tribe that is up in the Norwegian countries. Kind of like of abominable snowman ish. But in reality, it is Voormi in Dutch is for me, and that is kind of leading into what we're really pushing for in 2025. And here in a little bit is these garments are going to be more for you. It is going to be something that is, your garment. And so Voormi in Dutch is for me.
Very cool. I think it's cool anyway. I like the story behind the name.
I do too. Yeah.
Yes. And so what is the tagline for Vormi? Do you guys have a mantra or something like that for your guys' company?
You know, just a lot of it, expect new. We're not the same standard. The sea of sameness. We're trying to break out of the sea of sameness is what we're trying to do. Something to let us stand out, like with our technologies, with our patents on the way that we are doing our synthetics woven with the wool and all of that. So it is something to break out of. We don't want to be the company that is just changing colors of the garment for next year. Like, oh, this is the new kind of blue. We don't need another different kind of blue or a different kind of camo pattern. Let's change the workings of it. Let's change the meat and potatoes of the garment in order for it to help us. So I think that is our mantra. I think it is, we're break out of the sea of sameness.
That's a great mantra because I think there's so much of the same everywhere. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you guys have in breaking out of the sea of sameness?
I mean, all of it is it's our fabric, it's our quality control. A lot of it's us is our challenge, because we are so nitpicky about the way that we do things. That we have to have we're not satisfied with just okay. It's got to be up to our standards. The fabric's got to be there, the design's got to be there, everything's got to complement each other, it's got to work. So I think ourselves are our biggest challenge.
Biggest challenge. That's a great one. I think just individuals in life, we are our
Yeah,
biggest enemies.
I agree with that.
Whether it's trying to fix our cast or whatever.
Right. Right.
And I say that, so I asked if Cory, if he's still guiding, and for the listeners, I don't think we ever talked about the women's fly fishing clinic last summer.
Yes.
I was trying to have Leah on to talk about that, and we never connected up on that, which is kind of weird since we live in the same area. But Cory also volunteers his time, which I think is outstanding because you're a renowned fishing guide. And retired or not, he actually came and volunteered and helped with SEI with a women's fly fishing clinic, and was great to have you there. So thank you for that.
And I enjoyed it. And I think stepping back from guiding, for years, for 5 or 6, 7 years in a row there, I was guiding 300 plus days a year. I did it for a living. I was one of the few that was able to guide full time for a living. I'd go from South America, come back, and I'd start guiding fishermen here, and then I'd move into the hunting world. And I don't care who you are, you will burn yourself out if you do that. Being able to take a couple steps back, being able to be part of Voormi now, and it enables me to come out and enjoy doing these fundraisers and still passing on some of the things I picked up along the way in the world of fly fishing and hunting. It's given me a newfound little spark to go out there and do it myself again, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciated it, and I enjoyed having different points of view and different guides. And when I guide, I used to write for an editor that she asked, why would you go on a guided hunt if you're a hunting guide? And it's like, well, I don't know everything, and they know more than me, or they know things in a different point of view. And with fly fishing, something I always appreciate is different words, because
Yes.
you can be teaching somebody and it's like, I only know these words, but if I listen to Cory, he might have a different word, and then it clicks with that person. So that's something that we can always learn. And on that trip, there actually was a girl that was experienced. She books guided trips all the time, but she learned a ton, and she really was excited to be able to learn from the group. So that's something that is totally cool.
Well, very good. Very good. I enjoyed it. I did.
Yeah. Well, and for the listeners, the specific event wasn't sponsored by Voormi, but Voormi did step up, and they pitched in some gear for the girls, and that was super cool. And so that's something that I wouldn't say expect that from Voormi, but Cory himself was there as a teacher, but for Voormi to pitch in as well, that's something that's very commendable, and the girls definitely appreciated it. I know a bunch of them went and bought gear because they saw all the great gear, and I think that's when I got this shirt, was during that adventure.
I think it was, yes. So, and they've always been so good at this. They do donations for, the National Wild Turkey Federation to, a lot of different causes and things here in town, for sure. It's fun being part of this company and this community, and we're very active. Voormi is very active in the local community here in Pagosa, which is good. It's a big, little tiny town out here in the middle of these big mountains. So, yeah.
Yeah. So before I let you go, talking about little communities and stuff, I'm always excited when I go somewhere else and I see some Voormi in the shop, because I support the company, as a cheerleader, of course I buy things, but where else can I find Voormi? Everybody wants to go to Amazon, and I don't know if you're on there or not, but where can we find Voormi?
So it's pretty funny you asked that. I like just recently in the last week or so, we had a big breakthrough, and we are in the Shields in Colorado Springs right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. So we got our foot in the door with Shields. We also sell to about 25 to 30 wholesalers around the country, everywhere from Creede, Colorado to up in Montana. Megan's got some accounts up there, to the Midwest, because of the hunting sportsman background that we do have with the waterfowl. So there are places out there for sure. Durango, over in Durango, Duranglers is carrying Voormi. Backcountry Experience. I could go on, but yeah, and we're doing more and more wholesaling as we go, which is good to get our name out there, to just step out of the small town of Pagosa and Bozeman and let the world know about us, for sure.
And you mentioned that you are on Amazon, and I've heard from other companies that that can be a challenge to be selling on Amazon. So I'm not saying go to Amazon, but you have your own website.
Absolutely.
And while we're talking, I've been sharing some of the pages on the website. If I order from the website and it doesn't fit, can I exchange it? Is there a lot of expense to that? What are kind of your policies for that?
I mean, our customer service is great. Customer service at Voormi.com. If something doesn't fit, we will give you a shipping label, send it back. We work with people pretty well. It's a pretty easy process to go to Voormi.com, and you can learn more about, you can see in pictures of how we are doing the synthetics to the wool and the core fabrics, and get a little more gist of what the fabric actually is, because our fabrics are different than everybody else's out there. It sets us apart. So there's a lot to learn on that website, and you can see what's in stock. And like you said, our Elevation Works, our small town one, we'll do specialty runs of certain things, and you'll be able to find that out on Wormy.com as well. Yep.
Yeah, and it's something why I mention that is because in our fast world right now, it seems like people are just so demanding. And it's like, these are real people. It's a real company. You're not ordering from somebody in China, like you just said earlier, like it's not Chinese made. And so for my listeners, I respect companies. I'm having Cory on here because I appreciate Voormi and I really like the products, but also if you're going to shop there, appreciate that they're real people. If you have questions, you can contact them and all of that. If you have questions, ask me and I'll figure out how to get in contact, stuff like that. I don't work for Voormi, but
I mean,
I'm
if
always
you
happy to
call,
help.
you're not going to be talking to a robot. You're not going to be talking to somebody. You're going to be talking to one of us. We still handle everything in house, and yeah, we like it that way for sure.
Yep. In a small town vibe. And it's something that I really appreciate. But I also, Cory, as I said, I appreciate you and your volunteering that you've done in the past year, but also being on the show and sharing the products with my listeners. And I hope that the listeners will check it out.
Yeah, I hope they do too. And thank you for having us on, for sure.
Absolutely. And I'll put links in the show notes to everything we've talked about today and also where you can find Voormi. And Cory, what are some hashtags that I should be using when I'm tagging you? Because I know I just tag Voormi and there's like 3 or 4 social media profiles. Tell us about that.
So I would just use the hashtag Voormi, hashtag Sportsman's group at Voormi. Any of the Voormi hashtags will work.
Okay.
Yeah,
I used to be good at social media. Now it's just overwhelming.
it changes again. It changes every day. Something that
Absolutely.
changes every day.
Yep. Well, thank you again. It's been great having you on the show.
Yes, I appreciate it, and we'll have to catch up again after 2025, and I can fill you in on more about what is happening. But yeah, just keep your eye on us.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Mia.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.